Despite the downturn, London is still one of the most expensive cities in the world. 80% of Britain's million-pound properties are located here, in the southeast. The de Beauvoir estate is one of the most desirable residential areas in northeast London. It's a conservation area in a sought-after location on the borders of Islington. There's always been high demand for homes here. But this house is proving a nightmare for the luxury properties all around it. 121 Mortimer Road is a 20-room Victorian house spread over 3 floors. It has the potential to be worth well over £1 million. But due to the unique hobby of its owner, this house is now condemned and dangerous. Back in 2004, Rob Johnston moved into 119A Mortimer Road. His house was reduced from £400,000 to what seemed like a bargain at £360,000. He was aware that the property next door probably had something to do with it.
It was a total mess. It had a hodgepodge of fencing around it made out of garage doors and front doors. There was rubbish piled high over the fencing, and the whole house was shabby. All the paintwork had fallen off it, windows were broken, and the roof was half fallen down.
Rob's new neighbours told him more about the house. Its owner, William Little, had a DIY habit that was out of control.
He would start DIY projects, get about a third of the way in and then stop and then move on to something else.
He loved collecting stuff. Anything that anybody put out for the rubbish, he would just go and collect it, or there was just endless stuff in there.
It got so bad, Alan Hawes, head of building control at Hackney Council, was called in.
There was a lot of rubbish accumulated within the property.
Old cars and fridges.
Bikes, scooters.
Freezers, microwaves.
As much rubbish as you could possibly imagine, piled everywhere.
In July 2006, the council took William Little to court because they believed his house could be a danger to people in the area. The house appeared structurally unsound, and neighbours reported that his DIY projects involved a lot of digging. The council needed to get in to make sure the house was safe. William Little was removed from his own home.
Handcuffs going on. Handcuffs going on.
Alan brought in a 12-strong team to remove the rubbish. It took a week to empty the house.
33 tonnes, probably about 33 skips, I would say. Each large skip would carry about a tonne of waste, so yes, a lot of skips.
With the rubbish now cleared, an extraordinary sight was revealed. Over the past 40 years, William Little had been digging a labyrinth beneath his house. It began as an ambitious DIY project to expand his basement into a wine cellar and a leisure centre. But now the house was precariously perched above these vast excavations.
When you see that sort of cavern, initially you think it's like a war bunker, and then when there's steps going down to it, it's obviously intentional. You could stand up and walk through them, so they had to be significantly deep, and they were between 3 to 4 metres in places, but to a depth of 5 metres around the perimeter of the property. To give you some idea of scale, these hoardings are roughly 2.5 metres, so it's twice as deep as these hoardings. We also found there was a lot of ponding. There was almost a mini lagoon created within the lower floor area, which made the ground very soft. There were broken drains, the electricity was exposed, there was a smell of gas. I've seen DIY disasters, but never where someone has actually decided to tunnel under their own foundations.
It was worrying for Rob next door.
I knew that if he's digging, I don't know which direction he's digging in, but I mean, I'm end of terrace, and my foundation's neighbour, his garden.
In digging his tunnels, Mr. Little had actually removed entire sections of his foundations and supporting walls. But Rob had a lucky escape.
I discovered that he'd tunnelled up to my foundations, so all my foundations were exposed, but he hadn't actually gone below my foundations.
Rob's house is secure, but 121 Mortimer Road was in imminent danger of collapse. Alan's team took immediate action. They filled in the huge holes with foam concrete and used scaffolding to secure the property. Making 121 Mortimer Road safe has cost a lot.
There's been a significant amount of work done to the property in terms of pumping the concrete in, putting the scaffolding there and securing the roof, plus all the legal costs as well. That totals approximately £300,000, which we're recovering from Mr. Little at the moment.
William Little, who is now known as the Mole Man, will have to sell the property if he can't pay the bill. 2 years after the clear-out, the house is still too dangerous for anyone to go inside.
There's nothing there which is really worth saving, and in terms of cost, really the best option for the owner and any future owner is to demolish that building.
It's very sad. It's very sad for all of us that live around here. It's very sad to see any property that's boarded up and held up by scaffolding, especially one in such a prominent position as this.
It would be probably the best property in the street if they did it up.
He was an obvious eccentric. Good luck to him. Unfortunately, he's left an eyesore that the rest of us are having to deal with.
If you have a Homes from Hell story you'd like us to investigate, please contact us at this email.